But I've got things that I want to say about these games.
Of course. And you gotta say what you want to say, or else... Why do we have this channel? We got to express ourselves.
Express yourself.
Express yourself. What's happening, party people? Welcome to Punch Board Party. My name is Daniel. This is Father Greg. And this top 10 list is a total ripoff from the Brothers Murph. They posted this video about 2 weeks ago, and it was just top 10 games that deserve a second chance. And so I thought that was a great video idea, and I thought, I have lots of games that are like that. Father Greg was like, I could probably come up with a list that was like that.
Right.
And so we're going to give you that list. So we each have 10 games that we are going to propose as games that we think deserve a second chance, or that we think we should give another chance. Games that we didn't particularly like or didn't really land well with us for whatever reason. And we're saying, you know what? We should probably swing back around to those. Right. Is that kind of how you made your list? Or?
For sure, yeah. Some of these games are games where either something in the game let me down, maybe mechanic-wise. Other times it was just the people I was playing with or the situation that I was in. Maybe when I played this game, the environment, that I feel like maybe this game didn't get the best kind of first impression. But there's still something in my heart that was like, you know what? There's maybe something going on in this game that could be revisited.
But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, my list is probably ordered in some fashion, but don't ask me how.
Okay. I won't. Why don't you start us off?
This is a game that I played with you in London.
Okay.
And this is a game that I know I enjoy. But we even played it twice, I think, in London. But we played it once, and one person particularly in the gaming group just had a terrible time with this game, and he hated this game. Like, I would not be surprised if this is like on his worst 10 games of all time. And this game is Foodies. Now, this was like a little game that came out by Simon, but it has it's great. You're like developing a little like food stand, and you're like putting all these cards, but it's a bit like Machikoro, where you roll a dice and you get whatever that thing lands on. And if you put something on the 3 and the 3 never comes up, well, that's unfortunate. But you kind of did it to yourself, but how are you supposed to know? But, other than that, this game is really good. There's something about this game that whenever I play, I'm like, this game is satisfying, you know? Yes. But when you get that one moment, it kind of forces you to put the game on the shelf and be like, I'm never playing this game again.
Yeah, so I got rid of Foodies because of these experiences.
Right.
Whereas the first time I played it at Gen Con, I was like, this is it just had a thrill to it. It had that same kind of Machikoro thrill. It just works really cool where the cards have little holes in them, and then you put them down on your board according to the number.
Right.
And so now that card's that number, and it's neat, right? But the glitch is that it comes with a 10-sided die. And so unlike Machikoro, where you kind of know, these cards are more likely to be rolled and these cards are less likely to be rolled, everything is theoretically
the same.
Yeah. But it doesn't seem to work out like that. So it's it's a real crapshoot.
This was a game that if you pulled this out tonight, I'd be like, yeah, great, let's get this to the table.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So my number 10 on this list, this is a game that we played together. It is your number 1 board game of all time.
Wow.
This is Village.
Wow.
So I got rid of Village.
Yes.
After we had played it. Because I don't know what we did wrong. Can you even remember what happened? And
I think we were using the cubes incorrectly. And time and somehow, yeah.
Yes, because we started going into the bag and we had no cubes to replenish the spots that we were supposed to replenish. And so the game just broke. And I was like, all my confidence was just shattered. I had a really great game of this, just 2 weeks ago. And now I have no idea how to play this.
Right.
And it just really just ruined it for me. And I haven't played it since. But ever since Father Greg's been talking it up and bringing it back onto my horizon, I'm like, I need to get back to that. We made a mistake. You know how to play it now for sure. So we can just kind of get this to the table and get back to
bring that back.
Good, beautiful space in my heart.
Definitely love that.
So yes, Village.
Oh, fantastic choice. Fantastic. My next game is a game I think this is one game that I own. Most of these games I don't own because I often had maybe a lackluster first play and kind of didn't really play them much since. But this is a game, it comes in a big box, but it's not a huge box, but a bigger than normal size box. but it's like a really light game. And I think because of that, I just like often forget to take it on like my small, when I'm thinking of like, a nice, easy kind of light game. I don't take this game with me, and that's Nanty Narking. So this is a Martin Wallace game, a kind of re-implementation of this game that was about these Discworld novels.
Yes.
It's just like a take that area control game. It's very simple, but it has like all these miniatures of buildings and people in like Victorian England and so on. And so the miniatures are like really cool, but it kind of falls into like the same place as like Foundations of Rome. There's a smaller box than that, but it's kind of that same idea. It's like this giant box that like I often just don't want to like. It's not something that comes to mind when I think of a quick, easy, like 45-minute to an hour game I could play with like relatively new gamers. But it's not that difficult to explain. It's pretty simple, and it has a nice kind of aesthetic appeal. So I would love to give this game another shot.
And another one that I would love to play. So that's just perfect. My next game on the list. So this is my game in that same category of games that are on my shelf. Now this game has been like a thought about when I'm culling games. It's always been on the chopping block in my brain, but that I can never bring myself to get rid of it. And this is Yamatai. So I need to give Yamatai another chance because I need to remember what I like about it. Because every time I look at it, I'm like, I don't think I'm ever going to play that again. But then there's this like niggling like, but the colors were pretty. And it was still a good game. But like I'm always going to play Five Tribes above Yamatai. And I feel like they're really close in design. That it's like, why would I ever play Yamatai instead of Five Tribes? But so I need to give Yamatai another chance just to see if my suspicions are correct.
I want to play Yamatai tonight. Let's do it, man. Oh man.
Okay, let's do it. Fine. Can it play too?
Probably.
Yeah. Let's figure it out.
Yeah.
All I remember about Yamatai is that it was like super brain burnery for what it was.
Right.
Like, it was like ordering those ships in the right way so that you could build the buildings on those islands and things. Almost tediously brain-burnery. Because it wasn't like the payoff was super huge. It was just like, okay, now I build a gazebo or whatever.
Yeah. A little shrine.
But I still love the vibe. So yeah, I just need to get this replayed.
I'm definitely up for that. Yeah, these are good games, man. Excited. Cool. My number 8 is another game that I know I like. A friend of mine knows it, but I think he either has got rid of it or he's getting rid of it. And that's Too Many Bones. And Too Many Bones is like a game that I have like a love-hate relationship with. I just don't think it plays well at 2. But I think maybe with like 3 or 4, that might be this game's sweet spot. And me and Father Dan, we just often play with 2, so it doesn't really like mesh with us. But man, there's something just so satisfying about the way that you pick a character and you level them up by putting these like die into their like little neoprene pad, and like you can upgrade certain abilities, and certain abilities give you dice that you can like roll and do certain things. There is just like there's something magical that always makes me want to give Too Many Bones another try, even though every time I play it I'm like, I'm good. But like the next time I'm like, but like
it's like KFC.
That's right. Exactly. This is my KFC.
Like, that was an awful experience. And then like 6 weeks down the road you're like, I could go with a big crunch.
That's right. Exactly. I get it. Good analogy.
My next game is Raiders of the North Sea. So I had this game. I played it once at your house. Just at the time, I enjoyed the mechanisms. Right. I thought it was really clever, the worker placement, where you kind of have to take a worker, drop off a worker, trade. Really clever, really cool. I think this is where Garfield Games really kind of started taken off. So it's really a seminal design. But at the time, I really struggled with just the theme of like raiding and pillaging. I attached myself too closely to it at the time when I was playing it.
Right.
I was just in a different frame of mind about these things.
When they were raiding the monasteries, you were just crying for the monks.
It was sad. Like I didn't want to like I didn't want to be doing that. Raiders of the North Sea ended up being in my calls, and I got rid of it. Since then, they've now kind of rethemed it as Raiders of Cythia.
Okay.
So it's more of like a war theme. So I feel better about that. I feel better when like both sides are kind of in it. Like,
sure,
we're fighting each other, as opposed to just like these people that are like, we're fine. And then Raiders coming in and,
It's all right. England deserved it. Don't worry about it.
And then Raiders of the North Sea has the Miko doing the art, and it's just not my preference for art style. There's a few games I'm looking at right now to add to my collection that has his art, and that's the only thing that's kind of keeping me a little bit like, ooh, but like, I gotta just get over that. But I really love Sam Phillips' art style. And so Raiders of Cythia has that. And so I'm really like, you know what? I just need to get Raiders of Cythia, give it another shot. I'm sure I'll love it. Like, I love the mechanisms when I played it. It was just the theme that made me a little more uncomfortable. And so I'm just curious if Raiders of Cythia will cure that for me or not.
My next game is a game that you taught to me, and I think we did a board game review of it early on in the channel.
I feel like you just hate playing board games with me.
This is only the second one that I've mentioned. No, there's a lot more coming, but it's fine. And so this is a game that we reviewed together, and this is The Hunger.
The Hunger, yes.
And
that didn't make my list, but it maybe should have. I think I'm just gonna get rid of it.
This is a game that when you first explained it to me, it was like, we're playing a game. It's like a deck builder about us being vampires and like eating people, and I was like, cool, sounds great.
Yeah.
And then it fell a little flat, and it just it didn't have that that real magic. It was a solid enough deck builder. It kind of followed a lot of the other kind of deck building principles, but mainly just for the theme. I kind of I don't know, I look at this game and I'm like, the art style's nice, the board presence is nice. I don't know, I should give this game another shot. I think that if I did, I could see some more things coming out of it for sure.
It is missing something. It becomes a lot more mechanical than it feels it should be when you're just kind of collecting the endgame scoring tiles. And just the one thing that it does have going for it is that the way you add cards to your deck is there's a card row that you can add one card to your deck, but then you can also add a whole pile of cards to your deck. And that might be good and that might be bad, because some cards added to your deck kind of make you bloated, or the people that you eat might give you indigestion or things like this. So it's fun, it's cute, it's a cool kind of race out and then back to the castle.
Right.
Often compared to Clank. But yeah, the way that you draft cards into your deck was cool. Maybe it is worth another shot. All right, you mentioned on our last list, Grand Austria Hotel.
Oh.
So Grand Austria Hotel, that might not be the way it went. I don't know what order this went in. I own Grand Austria Hotel. At some point, I played another friend's copy of it, and it was all right. And at another point, I sold the game. I don't know which order that came in or not. It doesn't really matter. What does matter is that this is definitely a game that deserves another shot from me, because I love this design team, and I love dice manipulation in board games. And so this has a really great mechanism where you have dice that you roll, and then the pips on the dice correspond to a particular action. You put all the dice of those pips to that action, and then the number of dice that are on that action, when you draft that die, that's the number of times or the strength of that action that you can do. That's a great little idea. It's a great... I think where I get lost is that you're serving guests different desserts, and then you're sending them to their hotel room, and there's different colored doors, and you're trying to make stretches and connections of door colors. And so you're trying to get the right colored guests and sending them to their room and serving them the right desserts. And I think I just got overwhelmed by the demands that were on me while I was just trying to draft a little die and do a cool little thing.
Never knew running a hotel could be so difficult.
So stressful. Stressful. Okay. But I do need to give it another shot. But it just brushes up against that line where the theme doesn't quite carry me through the mechanisms. And I just feel stressed out.
Well, next time you give it another shot, let me know.
Yeah, for sure.
It's one of the games I want to play. Cool. The next game that I played, this was a game that I played with, I think, a large group, maybe 5 or 6 of us that were playing this game. And it can handle up to that. But this is a semi-cooperative game. And yet a very popular one. But one in which one of us had an objective to have as many characters as humanly possible. And I had the goal of having as few characters. In fact, I wanted to have just one character, and that was Dead of Winter. And my God, that was a miserable experience. And it didn't help that the guy who was trying to like hoard characters by like 8 guys that he was controlling was also like prone to AP. And so like his turn took like better part of like half an hour.
Right.
And then my turn would roll around and I would be like, yeah, okay, I'll put a card into the pile to give some fuel. They're like, you could get another character. I was like, no, I'm good. My card says I shouldn't, and I can't tell you what's on my card. So, but everything about this game, yes, I realized like, man, there's something about Dead of Winter that's attractive. This like,
yes,
I like, I'm not a huge fan of cooperating, but I do love a good trader mechanic. Like I love this idea of like trying to suss it out, and the fact that you have your own kind of like private objective that even if you're not the trader kind of like makes you seem suspicious,
right, is
just like I really love that idea. But this idea that like when you're like you have one character and you are trying to get as many characters as humanly possible, it just was like one bad gameplay kind of spoiled this game for me. But it's definitely a game that I would like to play again.
100%. Well, that's the trouble with this game, actually, I think, is that the betrayal cards are such that they are very cool. They make for an interesting social dynamic where people are doing things that seem traitory. Or sorry, not the betrayal cards, just your secret objective card.
Right.
Like, they make you do things that seem traitory, but they're not. And then the traitor things, they're kind of in the same vein, but they're actually, like, bad. And so it sets up a cool dynamic. But I've never played a game of this where I've successfully been able to win the game and complete my objective. It's like the game necessity, because everyone has a very different thing that they're going after.
Right.
It's rarely possible to kind of manage that. And then the one person who does manage that, I guess they win?
Yeah.
And it's hard.
Right.
It's hard to do. Okay, my next game on the list was a game that was a grail game for me for years. I was like so excited about this game. I knew I was going to love this game. It had like hand management and tile placement and kind of grid movement. And this was Ginkopolis. Okay, and then my buddy had a copy. He had found a copy of it. This is before it was reprinted. And he brought it over to my place in London. And we played it. And it just like bombed for me. I felt that it was just like so mechanical. The grid movement, so there's kind of a grid of tiles, and then there's these circle letters that kind of mark where a tile is on the grid, like GA or whatever the case may be, and then they rotate around. And it was just like so mathematical, so mechanical to figure out like how high your levels of tiles need to be and how many cards you need to play to get them there, and then to make sure that they were in the right grid space and adjacent to these things. And granted, there's probably not much theme here, but the theme is cool. Like, it's this sort of like you're building an eco-friendly future civilization. But like, it just got lost in the mechanizations. And I also felt particularly dumb. My friend was just doing much better at the puzzle than I was. But yeah, it's much more abstract than I was anticipating it being. But now knowing that, I want to go back in, I want to give it another shot, kind of having a bit more of an idea of what to expect from the game, and to see if it does still, if I can find that thing that I thought I would find the first time I played it.
That's funny. This game was almost on my list as well.
Okay.
And Father Dan has it on his chopping block pile of like his to sell pile. And when he had told me that, I was like, not Ginkopolis. That was kind of fun. You know, I'd like to give that one another shot.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I'll buy it from him.
Cool. This is one where I think there's other games that could easily fall into this category as well. But these are heavy games that I played like early on in my time as a gamer that probably if I came back to, I would really much more enjoy.
Yes, huge.
And this is not even that heavy of a game, I think. I'm probably sure I could pick it up like fairly easy, but at the time I was like, oh god, sounds terrible. And this is a game called Archipelago. And this is a game that's, I think, just even too long for me. Like, it has like a short, medium, and long version. And I think the one time we played, my friend was like, let's play the short version. And it still took us like an hour or 2 hours. And I was like, I'm good, man. Yeah, it's a game where you're just kind of like searching out different islands, trying to find different tribes, and like you're trying to like sell resources to the tribes you've explored, but then there's like this kind of rebellion that can happen if you don't like care for them enough or you tax them too much, and they start to like rebel against you, and that's a problem. And so you have to kind of like satisfy the native populations and so on. Fascinating game. Like the artwork's really neat. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with it. At the end I was just like, oh, okay, I'm glad that's over with. But I'm sure if I came back to it now, I would be like, oh, yeah, this game's perfectly in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, there would be fascinating things there.
Really love it.
Because, like, that has the mechanism where there's actually, like, trading of resources and stuff.
That's right.
Which, like, after Catan, almost no games do. Mm-hmm. And every time I play a game with new gamers, they're like, can we trade resources?
That's right.
And it's like, no. But if I had Archipelago, I could say yes.
That's right.
That's right. No, that's a good pick. My next one is a game I played over the summer that I really didn't like very much, but I felt so bad when I was explaining why I didn't like it to the people at the table after you played the game, because this was just like a family favorite of theirs. Like, this is just one that they would go to. Mm-hmm. And it kind of confused me as to why they would go to this over and over again, but this was Dojukun.
Oh.
So this is the board game about making your own dojo and training your own martial arts masters and putting them into a tournament to fight.
Okay.
And so the thing about this game that really kind of got to me was that it was like two halves, where it was like you trained your martial artists and then you fought them in the tournament. And both halves had something going on, but was lacking a little bit. I almost felt like you could take either half and fine tune and like make it better. Mm-hmm. But now that I think about it, there was enough in each that I still want to try some things. I want to figure out if my suspicions were correct about it being a little unbalanced or it being luck heavy. There's sort of a thing where you can add on to your dojo to make more room to train. And I felt by the end of the game that I did that, but it didn't really benefit me. And it would have been better for me to just put all those resources into my one fighter. And just make my one fighter super strong and then run them through the tournament. And so I want to experiment with that and see if those suspicions were correct or not. But like at the very end of the day, it's just one of those things where the theme is still just calling to me.
That's right.
Because there's no other game
It does sound exciting.
that has a theme like that. And so it's like, if that's the best we got for this theme, I'll come back to the table. And hilarious, like Brock Lesnar knockoff characters, and like you're looking, you're like, oh, that's so and so, but they couldn't call him that.
Right. Cool. That does sound fun. I'd love to play it. The next one, this is a game that I did get rid of. This is a game that I owned, and I played it maybe 2 or 3 times, and it fits a lot of the games that I love. It's a hidden movement game. Like, I love hidden movement. It's like, yeah, this kind of 2-player mostly. I think you could play with more, like 4, maybe 5. But this is Specter Ops. Oh. And so this is the one thing that I think hampers me from playing this game was the character who's like running around the board has these cards. And they can play them, but when they play them, they don't like flip up the card and tell you what they did. They just say like, I've played one of my cards. But like, you don't even know what like the possibility of cards that are in their hand unless you like know the game really well. And so I feel like when you're teaching this to new people, you need to like, okay, here's these 5 cards. And these are like one-time things that I could do to like sway the balance in my favor, but I don't tell you what they are, but like, here's the various options. I could go 3 spaces. I could pass through your line of sight without telling you. Yes. And so like, you have some people where they're like, no, you have to be there. I'm sure. Like, how on earth could you have possibly gotten out? You're like, oh, yeah, you remember that card that I played? Yeah, that's how I got out. And like, just that one experience is just like, oh, man. But like, right. If I play this with people who knew those cards, who were like, oh, I see. I bet you he played, that one card because I know it's in that deck. Then I think that this game would just, I probably would love this game.
Well, I played it once with you, and I found it quite fun. Like, it was a fun game like this. I don't love hidden movement games very much, so yeah, probably worth giving a go. Okay, my next game is a victim of being played at 2 players when it probably should have been played at more. And this is Forensi. So Forensi is an old school Euro that's like right in my jam and wheelhouse. You're basically building tall towers and like sets of towers, and you're basically collecting these little wooden pieces of different colors, and you're getting points for having towers of certain colors or different colors or these kinds of things. Different majorities and varieties and whatever else. And I played this with Sarah. And first of all, the game was pretty overpriced for what it was. But beautiful box and like cool card play that you're doing to gain the different bricks that you use to build the towers. Cool stuff. But just at 2 players, it just kind of turned into a little bit of a... Like the tension wasn't really there. Sarah was working on this thing, I was working on that thing. That came to the end of the game. One of us won. Don't even remember. And so I would love to give Forensi another shot at a higher player count. And see what it has to offer.
Cool. The next game, this is I think the only game that was on the top 10 games that I hated. That I would be willing, I think, to play again.
I'm excited to see what this is.
And that is Myrmes.
Oh, yeah! That's a great pick.
Myrmes is like this weird game about building an ant colony. And kind of like you were describing with Village, I don't know if we just got some rules wrong or if I was just playing the game terribly. But I expected to be able to, like, at the end of the game, have this, like, horde of ants. Like, I expected a colony of 1,000 ants rolling around on the board.
Yes.
And when the game ended and I was on my second ant and I had picked up like 1 apple, I was like, what? The game's over?
Yeah.
That's it? So like, I would love to go and re-explore this game and figure out like, oh no, I just really was terrible at it.
That's right.
And like, either I didn't maximize all of the opportunities that I had, and I would have, like, I could have and easily should have grown my colony much larger, or like, just reread the rule book and figure out if we missed something terribly wrong.
Right. Yeah, you eked out 1 larva.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah. Okay, so this is a game that I'm like, I know I'm gonna hate this still. I know I'm going to hate this still, but I still feel like it deserves another chance because of how much people tend to enjoy these games. And again, this is because of like new releases that have been put onto this game. So this is Chronicles of Crime.
Okay.
And now they have this kind of like 100 series or like 1400, 1900, the 23.
The Millennium series,
The Millennium series. And so the newest one, the kind of like
2400.
Yeah, the cyberpunk version of this.
Right.
I just love that theme. And I was hearing on the Secret Cabal Gaming podcast, Don was talking about this. And he was saying that like instead of your like lab people that you go to, there's like this robot bird.
Right.
That like raven that like flies and like can give you information and give you stuff and like it just sounds like a cool world to be in. And so I'm like, I hated the basic feel of this game of having my phone out, scanning barcodes, getting information, just scanning some more barcodes. Like I just felt it was very redundant, very repetitious. I didn't feel like I was needing to put my all into the deduction because I could just sort of scan and find something out and whatever. And I know that it would just be the same problem I have, but the theme is like beckoning to me, and I'm like, oh, fine, I'll try you.
That's cool. I've got 2400 and I haven't even played it.
Okay.
I've had it for a long time.
Okay.
Yeah. So excited.
Well, there we go. We never follow up on the games we say we're going to play.
That's right. We got a lot of games to get through just after this list.
We do got to do that retreat idea though, where we just go to a cabin for a few days and just get a bunch of played.
This is a game that is a classic game. This is probably, I'm sure it's in the board game top 100, if not, should be close. This is a game that, is famed by the famed designer Rainer Knizia. It's got a lot of things going on for it, and yet the time that I was taught it, we were in like a big like hall, and so we were playing board games, but like not everyone else was playing board games. We were just kind of like off to the sides. You had a bunch of like random people just being shot by, like, hey, what are you playing? It's like, I'm trying to learn this game. Shut up. And that game was Tigris and Euphrates.
Wow.
And Tigris and Euphrates, there's something about this game that is just really exciting. You're like, I don't know, there's like this kind of like, I don't know if it's area control, but like you're building these buildings, and all of a sudden when they come into contact with one another, there's like a kind of war that happens to like see who gets control of that building. It's a lot to wrap your head around. It's not like a complicated rule set, but so many times I've gotten just tanked because somebody understood that way better than I did.
There's a few non-intuitive rules in Tigris and Euphrates that are kind of tough. Yeah. When you're learning especially. So
this is a game that I would love to say, yes, I have poorly rated this game. I would love to give it another shot and say, yeah, maybe there's something that I missed out on.
I feel like I'm mentioning Ankh way too much in these videos, but it's often compared to Tigris and Euphrates.
Is that right? Okay.
So I think that'd be another good game for you to play. Okay, so my next one on the list, John, this is for you. It is one of your favorite games. It is Tornay. This is kind of the spin-off game de Trois.
Yeah.
And it's a tableau building card thing. And I played it on Board Game Arena with John, and I just was disinterested immediately. Just the aesthetic, the card art, I just had no interest, and just it was a game that has like an oncoming threat that you kind of need to prepare for, that kind of takes you out or whatever. And I just at the time I couldn't abide. It was the same reason why I kind of wrote off Bruges at the time. Was just I couldn't get my head around the fact that stopping a threat is the same as gaining victory points. Not losing victory points is the same as gaining victory points.
That's right.
And I couldn't get my head around that at the time, and it was just felt like I was just at a standstill and frustrated by that. And so I think I need to give Tornay another shot in person.
That's fascinating, because I love Trois, and I've looked at Tornay and never known anything about it, but I'm attracted to that kind of weird art style.
Yeah.
I'm game. My last game, my number one game. This is a game that actually I've played probably more than any other game, certainly on this list. We probably played this game, I don't know, 5 or 6 times, but we never even completed it. We got so very, very close.
Yeah.
We played this with a group of 4 or 5 guys, and we got to the final campaign. And then we just put the game away and never touched it since. And that was a long time ago. And ever since then, every time I see this box, I'm like, man, we should bring that. Man, I want to finish that campaign, you know? And that's Arcadia Quest.
Arcadia Quest. Hot dog.
Yeah, it's just I think at first I hated this game because I lost the first couple rounds, and there is a bit of it's easier to pick on the guy who's is weaker. You're kind of the first to be destroyed. It doesn't really hurt you that much to be destroyed, so you kind of bounce back pretty quickly. It's really not the end of the world. It's not crazy, but yeah, it's just kind of I'm the weakest. Oh man, this is rough. I'm kind of struggling to advance up this ladder. But the little chibi miniatures, the lighthearted, just you're all running in, just killing guys, just trying to get as many points as you can.
Yeah. Take
that, but it's such lighthearted take back. Nobody's gonna nobody should leave this game crying. No. That you hurt them. You just bounce back and level up your character and go back in. But yeah, this is a game that I would love to play one more time, even just for the sole sake of just finishing that campaign of getting those 5 guys back together and just running through this campaign just to finish it.
And the combat is just so smooth. It's so slick, and just range of sight and all this stuff. It's just it's so good. Yeah, it's on my top 100 list all the time, even though I got rid of it. I got rid of it mainly because I had to downsize my collection to move to London. Right. But it was one of the hard choices. All right, my last game. Oh man, this game. This was one of my 2 or 3, but this was the worst of my true blue temper tantrums during board games, where things just got so sour that I just got up from the table and I walked away. I just left. This is Flick 'em Up.
Oh,
Flick 'em Up. We were at a board game cafe. Myself and John Crushane and Chris O'Hara, and they wanted to play Flick 'em Up, and we started playing Flick 'em Up. And I think I just got a bad attitude against it right off the bat. Where it's I'm gonna overshoot. This is gonna be frustrating. I'm not gonna why are we playing this stupid game? There's no strategy involved in this game. I think I just got my back up right away. Sure enough, in my frustration, I flicked too hard and missed totally. I was nope. And I just went over to the other games and just started looking for something to play, and the guys kind of quietly packed up the game awkwardly as my broodiness infected their fun, and not a proud moment for me.
Wow.
Not a proud moment, but we played Madam Ching instead. Kind of liked it. I liked it. But no, I had a recent, very positive experience with Crocono just this past year. And I remember, I like Crocono. Now, there's something about Crocono. Like, I think the Crocono board is designed to slide these things against.
Right.
The flick 'em up play area doesn't necessarily have the same friction or like lack thereof friction. So I think it might be a little different. But like, I think if I could like get in my brain that this is a Crocono re-implementation, I could probably give this another shot and have a good time. But yeah, dexterity, not my favorite.
Right.
Just feeling like inept at anything. It's just a hard experience for me. So this didn't go well.
Yeah.
So party people, those are our top 10 board games we think we should give another chance or that we feel we need to revisit. What are yours down in the comments down below? Games that you had a pretty bad experience with or didn't land for you that you are like, you know what? Let me give this another shot. Let me give this another chance, another thought, whatever. One thing that I did notice in a lot of the games on this list is there were real problems with the game. You know, there was some significant like, no, this game isn't good because of X.
Right.
And yet, there's enough good about the game that we're still kind of feeling drawn back.
That's right.
Yeah, so let us know, party people, down in the comments, what games are like this for you. And if you like the video, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and share the video with people that you think would enjoy our content. And until next time, party people,
have the best day.